Finally, Jesus Christ, it took me so long to get this deck profile out just because of one card, and it's this. It took like 3 weeks to get here. So, this is the revamped Angel Feather deck with the all new Grade 3 Nociel and also the Nociel Stride. So first I'll go over the main deck, going from Grade 3 to lower. So, we begin with Love Sniper Nociel. So Nociel's effect, the first one is when a Nociel goes to your damage zone, you can counterblast 1, and then if that Nociel is still face up, you can put it into your hand and then top deck a damage. So basically every time you damage check or put a Nociel from your hand into, or you put a Nociel into the damage zone, you can counterblast 1, like another damage, and then put that Nociel into your hand so you get free advantage basically, and also get another damage face up into your damage zone. So it's a really nice skill. Second one is the same as all other Nociels. You basically, when she's ridden, you put a card from your hand into the damage zone, and then you take a card from your damage zone and put it into your hand. So she is really, really good for early game. The main problem of Angel Feather beforehand was that they really lacked in early game, and they would just die super fast if they couldn't stride. And basically, she is the biggest fix, and that's why I max her. So she's a 4-0 for sure in my opinion. She's really good in early game. If you ride her when you're like 1 damage, then every time you just damage check a Nociel, you're going to be able to get a free one into your hand basically. And we run quite a few Nociels to make sure that happens, and I might even up the amount if I see that it's necessary. So Nociel is super good. She's an amazing first ride. If your opponent's grade locking against you, you go into her and you're pretty much fine. Like you can safely go into her and then stride later on as well if you need to, but she's super good. You don't need to play limit breaks instead. You can just play her and she's amazing. Now our secondary grade 3 is obviously Black Shiver Gavrail. So I've already gone over her skill last time, but she has a GB2 that when a card is put into your damage zone, your whole front row gets a continuous plus 2k and it stacks. And then her other skill is when she's ridden over, you can counterblast 1, look at top 3, put a card into your damage zone and then call a face-up card from your damage zone onto the field and give it plus 2k. So she's a super good card. I already talked about her in the last deck profile, so I'm not going to spend too much time. She's still my favorite Angel Feather unit, but I play 3 because I like to keep the grade 3 count at 7. And right now Nociel is better because the metagame is still fairly pushed on early game. Like it's really about having early game advantage nowadays. So honestly, there are often many times when I go into Gavrail and then if I can't stride or something, or I don't have enough cards in my hand to pay the cost for stride, I end up losing that game. So I feel like it's okay to just play 3 Gavrails instead, but you can fiddle around with a grade 3 ratio if you want. This was pretty tough for me to decide which one I want to max. So moving on to the grade 2s, we have Love Machine Gun Nociel. So her skill is basically when she's called, you take a card from your hand and put it into your damage zone, and then you take 1 card from your damage zone and put it into your hand. So you can basically take a counterblast 1, whatever you want. So it's good to fix grade stuff, proc the grade 3 Nociel skill, and just do all kinds of shenanigans. I play 3 because I feel like 4 is too much because riding into her is a bit of a pain in the ass. So we're gonna keep it to 3. And obviously when she goes to the damage zone, she can proc the grade 3 Nociel skill, which is all fine and dandy. Now, moving on, we have Nurse of Broken Heart. So her GB1 is when a card is put into your damage zone, both she and your Vanguard get plus 2k each, and it stacks. So basically this combos with a lot of skills. It combos with taking damage, so it's a defensive skill, and there's a lot of shenanigans you can do with the stride, and when you take damage, and with Gavrail, and with another grade 2 that I will get into in a second, which is Black Slice Harut. So she's an Amber clone, so she's GB1 when she's boosted, you counterblast 1 when she's attacking the Vanguard. You can look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one of them into the damage zone, the other one goes to the bottom of the deck, and then you choose a face-up card from your damage zone and call it. So basically it gets called during the battle phase. So it can give you free extra attacks. It procs her skill, so she gets plus 2k, and so does the Vanguard. And then if you're on Gavrail, then the whole front row will get plus 2k. Even the unit that you call with her effect will also get the added bonus from Gavrail stacks. So I still like this grade 2 lineup just because it's still, like, it works really well. And I still have the 2 Dosage Celestial as model. So, like, you can change this to F Tech to like Medical Bomber Nurse or more grade 2 Nociels, whatever you want. But I like to keep it to as model, because her skill is a good pressure skill. Basically, when her attack hits, you can, and she's on the rear guard, you can counterblast 1 and put her into the damage zone, and then you choose a card from your damage zone that isn't her and call it. So you pressure the opponent into another attack basically, and if you're abusing Gavrail's GB2 on that turn, that can be really deadly. Moving on to grade 1s, we have the most important grade 1 of the whole deck, which is Battle Cupid Nociel. When you guard with her, you can put a card from your hand into the damage zone and take a card from your damage zone into your hand. This is super good because it procs Gavrail's GB2 skill, meaning that if you have, let's say, 2 Nurse of Broken Heart and a Gavrail as your Vanguard and you're in GB2, then it's going to be adding plus 6k to your entire front row, which is really nice from just swapping shields with Nociel. So that's really nice. It also procs the grade 3 Nociel skill when you put her into the damage zone, whether you put her into the damage zone from a skill or if she just goes there by a damage check. So it's important to play these Nociels in order to proc the grade 3 skill, and but I feel like I could play 4, but right now she's really expensive and I feel that 3 is also sufficient, and the rest of my grade 1 lineup doesn't really allow me to play more than 3 right now. Next up we have Thousand Ray Pegasus, a really important grade 1 Angel Feather right now. Basically, when a card is put into your damage zone, it gets plus 2k, whether it's on the Vanguard or Rearguard, so you can ride it to have a bit of a defensive first turn, I guess. But basically, you pull off many combos, this gets a lot of power, that's basically how it goes. We obviously max it, because we want to pressure on the field as much as possible. Next up, because we do play only 3 Gavrails, I play 3 Black Coal Nakir. She's a stride fodder and she's also there to search for Gavrail, so when you're done making your Nociel shenanigans, you wanna basically call her and then swap some. If you don't have a Gavrail, then you wanna search her with Black Coal Nakir. And finally, we play 4 of the G Perfect Guard. I would play the old Perfect Guards, but for now I think the G ones are fine as well, so feel free to swap to the other ones if you feel like it, but for now the only ones I have are the G ones and they're working just fine for me, so it's alright. And my starter of choice is still Azrael. Her skill is always nice. It's a GB1 +1, put her in the soul. You put the top card of your deck into your damage zone face up, and you take a face up card from your damage zone and put it into your hand. Like, she's good for fetching out Nociels if you didn't get them with the grade 3 Nociel. She's good for fetching out Perfect Guards, Stride Fodders, anything basically that you might not want to call but just have in your hand. Because for things to call, you can always fetch with Gavrail or with Harut. So she's my starter of choice, and she's still a very good starter at that. As for triggers, we play 4 heals, Sunny Smile Angel, so the one that has the skill to go back to the deck after she's boosted. I decided to go with 6 stands, so 4 of Dockride Refrost. This is the stupid, really OP stand trigger for Angel Feathers. Basically, it's a GB1, basically a skill is a GB1, and you counterblast 1, and choose 2 units from your damage zone and put them back into your deck, and also the stand trigger back to your deck. And then you shuffle your deck and you put as much damage as you put back to your deck, you face up damage that much. So you unflip it essentially if you put back counterblasted damage. And then on top of that you draw a card as well, so it's a super good card. If you loop it, your opponent's probably gonna die, so that's basically it. And then I play 2 of the Nociel stand trigger. The skill is basically you put it in the soul and you put a card from your hand into your damage zone, and then you take a card from your damage zone and put it into your hand. I'm considering maxing it as well, so I would play 8 stands and 4 crits, but for now I'm gonna go with 6 crits only, and then to top it off I would play 6 crits. I mean 6 stands and 6 crits, so 2 of the vanilla one, I don't play the celestial one, and then 3 of Critical Hit Angel, which is a you put it into the soul and give another unit plus 3k. So that's the main deck. So my triggers are 4 heal, 6 crit, 6 stand. I've seen some decks go with 8 stand. I've seen some decks go with grade 3s that are like 4 Nociel, 2 Gavrail, and 2 of the Phoenix. But this is how I prefer it. I will still mention this again. The early game that she grants you is insanely good. So it's really worth maxing her, and I really recommend it. So let's move on to the G Zone. So for the first of the strides, I still play 4 Holy Seraph Raphael. She's basically a second stride, so GB2, Persona, Flip, heal a damage. So she's always good. Healing a damage is like just playing 6 heal triggers. Like, who says no to that? It's a 4 of. It's hard to question why I would play 4 of, and it's just a really good card. Something you can question though is why I played 2 of the Stride Nociel, not just 1. Basically, there are a lot of. Let me first go over her skill. So, at the end of the battle that she attacked, you can take 2 of your rear guards, put them in the damage zone, and then take 2 cards from your damage zone and call them, and if they're Nociels, they get plus 5k each. So bear in mind that the cards that you choose to call, they don't have to be open, so you can call counterblasted damage. Keep that in mind. So you can basically, it's always best to call out Nociels, so best ones to call are obviously grade 2, stand trigger, and the grade 3, but if you don't, it's still amazing because you get the unflip and you get the extra attack or 2. So she's a really good card. Sometimes I see myself staying on Nociel for more than just one turn, or rewriting Nociel, so in those cases, I think it's honestly not a bad idea to stride into her second time. Sometimes you don't want to, sometimes I'm just keeping her as a Blitza fodder. So yeah, she's really good for the little combos that she makes. Obviously she does need a Nociel Heart, I forgot to mention that. But yeah, Nociel Heart is necessary, you cannot stride her over Gavrail. That's another reason why I max Nociel, the grade 3 one. But she's a really good card, she allows for extra pressure and she's generally really nice. Obviously we run the 1 Blitza. When it attacks counterblast 1 and flip a G unit face up, and when it attacks, it gets power plus 5000 for each face up G unit. So obviously this is to unlock Gavrail's GB2 skill immediately. If you know you're facing against something that's late game focused, then you won't need to go into Nociels all the time, so you can just safely go into Gavrail. If you know you got the first stride, you go into Blitza, you go and flip one of these, and you've got your GB2, and you're ready to go all the way to defense. And our final stride is Raziel. So his skill is the big finisher of the deck. When he's stridden, you Soul Blast 2 and take all your damage, put it into your deck, and then shuffle your deck and face up damage as much damage as you put back. So this is best used when you're at 4 or 5, so you can refresh your whole field, and then proc the skills of various cards, such as Nurse of Broken Hearts, or the good old Thousand Ray Pegasus, and then you stack lots and lots of power, and you also stack lots of power on him because of Broken Heart's skill, and you attack for huge numbers and the game is over. You combine that with a few Refrosts and you'll be hitting for like 80k easily. So obviously you don't have to play 2 of the Nociels. You can swap the second one for a Uriel, you can swap it for another Raziel, or you can just keep it as a second Nociel. So one of is definitely worth it, but the other one is not that necessary. Basically, if I see that I'm gonna ride the grade 3 Nociel, then I don't even bother going into Blitza the whole game. Maybe the very last turn if I still haven't won. But basically how it would go is like this. If I am on the grade 3 Nociel, then I would just stride into the grade 4 Nociel, and then when I need to go into something else, then I would either stride into Raziel already, or I would stride into Raphael, or then if you really want to use Gavrail's skill already, then you can already safely ride into Gavrail and then stride into anything, so including, for example, Raphael, and when Raphael leaves, you're already going to have GB2, so basically you haven't wasted any turns really, because Nociel, the grade 4 Nociel, is going to put on a lot of pressure, so you don't really have to worry about wasting your strides or anything like that. And like, for the third time I'll mention, her early game that she gives you is retarded. A lot of the times she will give you this early game hand advantage, like it's insane. What's happened to me during testing is like I'll have her ridden, and then let's say I'll do her skill once, like I'll ride her, then I'll put a Nociel into damage zone and take another card back, and then I'll proc her first skill, and then I'll counterblast the damage, take that Nociel back to hand, face up a damage. Oh look, a Nociel, counterblast again, take the Nociel into hand, and then again face up damage. Oh look, a Nociel, and just keep doing that until you run out of counterblast. So it's really good. Once you run out of counterblast, you use the stand trigger to refresh it, or you stride into Raziel to refresh it, although that's not very recommended. It's better to use Refrost, but the Nociel deck is super strong because of its immense early game, and like it's not just the early game, it's when Nociel is the one that gives you the early game, and what Angel Feather was already good at was the late game. So it's basically a very well-rounded deck. It won the VGCS of the last weekend, so that was, I believe, the 23rd/24th of January. So it's a super good deck. I really recommend picking it up if you're already playing Angel Feathers, and it's generally just A very fun deck, and I recommend it to any and all that are willing to try out Angel Feather. And yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I still do have a Great Nature deck coming from the Fighters Collection Winter stuff, but that'll be the last deck profile I do for a little while. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.